Adam, welcome to the show.
Thank you, my man. Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into your history and how you end up in the high ticket sales. But before we do, for those who don't know you, can I ask, like, how would you describe yourself and what you do right now in one sentence?
In one sentence. Right now, I'm helping high ticket closers transition into the insurance industry, more specifically into the IUL industry. And I would describe myself as somebody who enjoys stewardship. I very much enjoy having a bunch of people and taking care of them and looking after them, making sure they're winning and doing well. I love that.
Okay, okay. And for how long you have been in sales in a high ticket space?
So high ticket has been since 2021. So coming up on my fourth year now.
Okay,
So yeah, three and a half years would be
cool.
the most accurate number, I'd say. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while now.
And before you got into this space, like, how was the life for you? What was the life for you?
Man, certainly feels like I've lived a few different lives, that's for sure. So I was born in England, and then when I was 13, my family actually moved to Spain. So I grew up in Spain, finished school there, just about an hour north of Barcelona. Then, when I finished school, I went to France to go and play rugby for a few years. So I was playing rugby in Spain. I played for the Spanish national team and whatnot. So when I was 18, nearly 19, I went to France, played in the Pro D2, the second division there for a few years. That was a tough way to make a living, I tell you. Getting smacked in the mouth by massive Basque Frenchmen every weekend. That was a tough time, but very, very fun, of course. And then I finished my career in Germany. So I played the European Under 21 Championship for the Spanish national team, and it was based in Germany. And so one of the presidents of the club that I eventually moved to kind of came up to me after a game and spoke to me and offered me a bunch of shit. And I wanted to leave France anyway. And I was like, cool, why not? If you're gonna do all that for me, then let's go. Ended up staying for 12 years from rugby, moved into the gym industry. So, I was obviously thinking, okay, where do I spend my time if I'm not playing rugby? Well, the rest of it's spent at the gym, so might as well do something there. Climb the ranks just from being on reception, handing people their locker keys and fucking mixing drinks to eventually, when I left, I was managing a brand new chain of gyms for them. It was like this huge discounted gyms, like 15 euros a month, all inclusive, 3 floors, fucking massive things. I had like 50 staff under me. We had 12,000 members. So learned an awful lot there about the gym industry as a whole and on a mass scale. And I left there to then become a partner in a CrossFit gym that I was a member of. So we grew that. We doubled the members there and opened up a second gym. And then end of 2019, I realized I did not like being tied down to a location anymore. I didn't like the fact that the gym was dictating when I had to be where. And so I sold my shares and I started business coaching the CrossFit gyms across Germany, Austria, Switzerland, taking everything I knew about the general gym industry and everything I knew about the CrossFit gym industry and meshing that to help a bunch of people. That was an awesome experience. Kicked off really, really well because we had a good reputation in the gyms. I used to do CrossFit competitions all across Europe, so it's kind of slightly known as an athlete. I'd at least, people kind of semi recognize my name, I guess. And then March 2020, I don't know if you remember, the world shut down, in particular the gym industry, where people are breathing heavy and coming into close contact. So that just shut my target market
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
So I battled through that for about a year, helping people transition online. Then the gyms opened up a little bit and then they shut them back down. And then about a year later, I had to throw in the towel. I didn't know how to help people anymore. And that led me to analyze what the fuck am I going to do now? What do I want to do? What are the skills that I have? I know how to market now. I know how to sell and I know how to coach. And it just so happened that the sales thing was the one that I kind of wanted to pursue. Came across a
What
post in a
made you
Facebook.
realize that the sales was the thing that you wanted to pursue?
It was so I felt like marketing I didn't quite enjoy as much. That was a big factor. Like which of the three do I enjoy the most?
Hmm.
That was then sales and coaching. And then I thought, which can I make more money with? That was an obvious one, right? Sales, you basically dictate your outcome. to some extent, at least. And so I came across a Facebook post in a Facebook group, and I recognized the name as a success story of Taki Moore. And then he was looking for someone who had ideally had or been a part of their own business coaching business. I was like, oh shit, that's me. Then a bunch of other attributes I'd like to think I have. And then he said my average closer earned 164,700 and something other dollars last year. I was like, how much? Just closing. Like,
A bit of money.
right. I was like, that they didn't market for those leads. They didn't have to create content. They had to nurture them. They didn't have to coach them. They didn't have to have their VA run the books and talk to their account. Like, they just sat there and just closed these people and made that money. I was like, I need to send this guy a message. So I did, and for whatever reason, he took me, and that was the start of my closing career. That was back in middle of 2021.
Okay. And what
Yeah,
happened since then? Because like you mentioned that you lived a couple different lives before
yeah,
sales, but I think you also lived a couple different lives
yeah, dude.
through within sales, right?
That would be a fairly accurate observation, I'd say. Yeah, so I started closing. I ran through the whole gambit. I did closing, I did setting, I did DM setting. Then obviously had a phenomenal opportunity to work closely with one of your last guests, with Bill, in the objection box. I was one of the first people that he brought in to help him out, coach the guys, and build that up.
I
That was
was one of them at the very
Yes,
beginning.
yeah, that's where we met. That's where we met. So that was obviously a phenomenal experience, like incredible experience to be able to, mentor an apprentice, or be his apprentice, let's say. Exposed me to an awful lot of coaching and an awful lot of people and an awful lot of reps. Um, from there, I got an opportunity by a very chance happening, sort of out of the blue, to go away and manage a sales team, which is what I really wanted to do. I really enjoy sort of management, leadership, but the word that lands best for me is stewardship. I like looking after people,
Hmm.
and so obviously the company was doing anywhere between like $200,000 and $300,000 a month in revenue at the time, and it was a very, very tough decision. I was very happy working with Bill. I really enjoyed what I was doing. It was phenomenal to work with, but it just sped up my timeline a little bit. It was really what I wanted to do. And I was always going to grow into that position with Bill, but it was just a question of when. And this
Yeah.
was now. And so, faced with that, it's a very, very tough decision, but decided to go for it. We took that from just under 300 to just under $1 million in revenue in 5 months, which is a great experience. And then last year, 2024, I transitioned into working with Joel and Harlan at Nomadic Closer. And so we were running a done for you sales agency last year. So essentially leveraging the skill that I had on one offer over multiple offers. And yeah, phenomenal year. Lots of highs, but lots of lows as well.
Hmm.
And the lows, I'd say, the difficulties, the challenges are no different to what I was seeing and hearing other closers experience with erratic offer owners, um, nonsensical marketing at times, ad accounts getting shut down, just things ebbing and flowing and going in waves. One of the accounts we took from zero, brand new offer to market. From zero, we generated $1 million, just over $1 million in revenue in 5 months. I don't know what it is with the 5 months with me. We collected like over 86% of it as well. And
Okay.
then just overnight, the offer owner did something he really shouldn't have done, lost a bunch of people an awful lot of money. And who gets the brunt of it?
It
Because we
happens
took
quite a
over
lot in the high
CSP.
ticket space.
Yep, we've all heard it before, haven't we?
Yeah.
We
Can I
took the
ask, so
brunt of
like,
it.
correct me if I'm wrong, but like Nomadic Closer specializes in taking the sales teams to like 1 million per month, like at least
Mhm.
from what I heard. Like outside of the external factors like, bad marketing, ad accounts being shut down, like what was the hardest part of that journey for you specifically?
For me, it was every conversation with each individual offer owner was a sales conversation.
Mm.
I had to sell them on why what they wanted to do didn't make sense and why what we wanted to do did make sense. And when we did do it our way, we did get results. And when we didn't, we did. And that was hard. I found that really tiring. I just was like, why can't we just talk together and just both see eye to eye and see what makes sense and just do that?
Yeah.
That started to wear me down. It
Yeah.
really, really did. And that underlying feeling of our income is incredibly dependent on the competence of these people that I
That are not entirely competent.
in some areas, of course, in some areas of life,
Yeah.
I'd be going to them for advice. But when it came to sales and marketing, well, that's
Yeah.
what you
Yeah. Yeah.
fucking brought us here for, isn't it? And
Yeah.
so I think it comes down to a few things. Somebody hearing this might think, oh, that sounds like a little bit victimizing or putting blame. And I think it just came down to a couple of things. We were a very new agency. So we didn't have, a 12-year track record, right? We had individual track records of what I've done and what Hannah's done and what Joel's done. But as an agency, we were fairly new, right? So
Yeah.
of course, there is always going to be that element of, do I really want to believe what they say? Understandable. That's just a part of the game. That's something I had to factor in. The
Mm.
other thing was us learning as we went to identify who we did want to work with and be able, be brave enough to say no to the wrong people. And that was a learning process as well. So that falls on us 100%. It was just the whole combination of it. I was done with it. I
Yeah.
was up for it.
So
I was
like,
doing it.
so at what point you started seeing cracks in the high ticket space, and what exactly was the breaking point for you that made you pivot?
The You'll like the breaking point. That was funny. The cracks I was seeing in it was, our own anecdotal experience within the agencies of being exposed to multiple different offers in multiple different industries and seeing the common themes of offer credibility, offer, fulfillment stability, and marketing consistency. Like those three things. They were hard to come by. It was seemingly. The other thing was what was creeping in was me. I'm connected to a fair few people. I'd like to think I know a few people in the space, and just keeping in touch with people, having conversations with people, closers that I would deem as incredibly skilled and, really good work ethics, some that I've even worked with. I know they deliver results. And they were struggling. They were like, have you got a good offer? Do you know anyone? I haven't made any money last month. Lead flow's been down. And it was a recurring theme. And I was like, so it's not just me, right?
Yeah.
At least it seemed. And so the breaking point was that offer that we took to 1 million, where the offer owner then did something and lost a bunch of people a lot of money. And they never paid our last invoice. It was about $100,000 that they owed us.
Oh shit.
And they never paid it. And
Quite a
yet,
bit of money.
when Jake Paul and Mike Tyson had a little boxing match, if you remember, back down in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
he was flying out there to attend their live in the VIP room. Yeah,
Which is not cheap for sure.
right. And so that was just like, come on, really? Is this what it's come to? And the problem is when I tell people that story, they're not even surprised. I've heard stories of closers not getting paid commission and then seeing the offer owner post a brand new Tesla that he bought on his Instagram. That's a true story. It's like, unfortunately, it's not surprising and shocking anymore. And it just started leading me down to, okay, where I am right now, knowing what I know about high ticket and knowing my experience and what I bring to market, is high ticket the place? Do I still want to continue and pursue in this industry? Is the ladder that I'm climbing lent against the right wall for me personally?
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I feel very lucky and grateful that I do a lot, is I do question fucking everything. I question everything I think, everything I feel, everything people say, or status quos. It's very tiring. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it's like,
Find the answers if you're not asking questions.
right. Yeah. And some of my biggest breakthroughs have come from questioning things that nobody else will question. So nobody else is maybe an exaggerated term, but not many people question. So that got me really thinking, is this what I want to pursue? And so it coincided, kind of crossed over with meeting a guy here in Medellin last year, literally in the jacuzzi on the rooftop in the building I'm living in, and getting to know him. And what do you do? And he said, I run a 7-figure lead gen service for IUL insurance agents. And I was like, okay, genuinely, I didn't know what it meant. It sounded boring as fuck. So I was like, all right, whatever, cool.
You're like another guy who is just pitching his family, like, oh,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was like, all right, whatever. But he's a cool guy, so whatever floats your boat, mate. You know, I wasn't really fussed until we started doing a weekly mastermind at his house. So a few guys that we know here, you know, awesome bunch of boys who are doing some pretty cool things in business. You know, me and Joel and a guy who's running $1 million off month high ticket offer. Another guy who's in M&A. A guy who's very big in real estate. We started doing a weekly mastermind at his house. Just, you know, everybody goes round. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm working on. These are the problems I'm facing. Boom, boom, boom. Solution. Get unlocked. Cool. On to the next thing. Also, if anybody's got the opportunity to do that, do it. It's ridiculous. It speeds up your learning curve and unblocks roadblocks like nothing else. Highly recommend it. But every single week, he would tell us about how much money the people on his system were making. He was talking about this guy, Jacob Johnson, who submitted $60,000 worth of business in his first 4 weeks whilst working a full-time job. Never sold an IUL before. There was Andrew Eilers, who was making consistent 30 grand a month just off of 50 leads a month because he was doing like a road trip through America. So he was like doing kind of like the nomad thing. So he was only working like maybe 3-4 hours a day, no more. There was a guy called David Fisher who would do consistent 150 to 180K months. 184 was his highest. Fucking Ellie Juarez, little old Spanish lady, mother of 3. She submitted $101,000 of business. He showed us a screenshot. He showed us his Slack. He opened up his Slack and he showed us this message from this guy called Troy, who had messaged him saying, "Hey, Foreign," his name is. I'm at over $100,000 in submitted premium this month, but I kind of like the older avatar. So is there maybe something that we can do in the marketing to kind of tweak that? I was looking at this, I was like, bro, you're at over $100,000 for the month, and you're like, hey, can we kind of fix this? Yeah, can we fix this little problem and issue that I'm seeing? I'm like, this is nuts. What the fuck is going on? So now I was like, dude, explain very slowly to me what you do again.
like again, let's go back to jacuzzi. Can you say it one more time, just the way you said it?
Can you break that down for me? And so, yeah, it turns out he's a licensed insurance agent. So he's licensed in 50 states. He'd been doing this for, he started the company in 2021 and it was 2022 when he started including the leads. So that's like coming up on 3 years now. Been doing it for
not
3
that
years.
long. I would say to scale to 7 figures as an agency, lead gen agency.
Yep.
It is a pretty big growth.
Yep. They actually hit that run rate in 5 months. 5 months again. What the fuck is it with the 5 months? They went from, because he showed me his Stripe. He just showed us everything. I even show a screenshot of it in the webinar.
Yeah, I did the webinar, so I saw some of those numbers.
You remember, right? So December 21, they started doing the lead gen service. They did like $4,000 a month in that month in December. And then in April, they hit 174. And they never increased ad spend. They didn't spend any more money on scaling that up. It was purely on referral. And he showed me the Google ad spend statistics as well. They never went over $1,400 to do that. It was just purely on referrals. Because obviously, if somebody earns 60, 80 grand a month off a service, like they're going to talk about it, you know? People are going to be asking questions.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, he's ranked number 1 by the NFIA, the National Federation for Insurance Agents. He's had over 400 agents go through the system, spent over $1.5 million on ad spend since then. He's got a click-through rate of 9.81%, whereas we looked at the industry standards, about 4.4%. Like, it was just all so impressive, like really impressive. Super dialed in.
So right now he has like 400 agents in his system, like currently.
No, active it's just over 50 active.
Okay,
But he's
so
had
still
400
quite a
go
bit of
through.
people. Yeah.
Yes, correct. Yeah,
So we have
400.
been talking about the people, who are pulling out those big numbers, 60, 70, 80, even 180K per month. Like, what about the other side of the spectrum?
Yeah,
Like, what kind of numbers the, let's just say, the lowest performers are making?
yeah. It can be up to nothing,
Up to nothing. Yeah.
right? So the
What do you think is the difference? Like, given that you mentioned that the top performers are not that skilled, even
yep,
don't have to be that skilled.
right. So I asked him. I was like, what's different about the top guys? Like, why are they doing so well? Why are they hitting these numbers? And I said, are they like super skilled? Have they been doing this for years, or they have different training or something? Because that was my high ticket solution. Obviously, is they must have a better coach, right?
Yeah.
And he said, no, they're just quicker. They call the leads quicker. I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, the leads that he generates are very high intent because they're through Google, so they're actively searching for an IUL policy. These are not bait and switch leads where they're looking to get a free will and testament put together, or win a prize or something. They're actually looking for an IUL. And so when they come through the system, he has a lead transfer system set up where it's a warm transfer where the person's phone will be dialed instantly. But the thing about that is of that buying or researching pattern is they'll fill out one form and then they'll go to the next one. They'll click on the next one and then the next one and the next one. And typically what they found is that people will go with the first person that they speak with, because an IUL policy is an IUL policy. There are slight variations and there are slight differences depending on the carriers, but it's not like, you've got the X2000 and, the V100 version, like they're all pretty much the same thing, right? So he said they just get to them quicker. Now, that means there's an element of effort, of course, of speed to lead. There is, of course, an element of skill as well. If somebody is presentable and asks the right questions and know how to move the sale forward, they know how to diagnose
You
and
need to know
analyze
how
the
to communicate. I
situation.
mean, it sells at the end of the day.
It's still sales at the end of the day, exactly.
Oh.
And so, of course, you can go all the way down the scale to somebody who doesn't submit anything. But then you got to ask yourself the question, what is the variable? What are the constants and what are the variables? Well, if the constant is the funnel, the application, the verified phone numbers, the CRM, the training, the support, what's the one thing that's different between those two people? It's
Yeah, the person.
the person, right? The person. And in particular, the speed to lead. He said that's the biggest correlate that he's ever seen between somebody doing really well and somebody struggling, just not calling the leads quick enough.
It's still the same in the high ticket space. I mean, the speed to lead, it is really important. Like how fast you're contacting all of the people who are opting in through your funnel, I mean, can determine whether you're going to have a 2x ROAS or you're going to have a 6x ROAS.
100%, 100%. And he's seen it time and time again.
Yeah.
So obviously the system he has solves for that. It has a lead transfer system where your phone rings, you hit a button, it's dialing them. Because once they fill out the application, which is 13 questions long as well. So you've got high intent of searching on Google. You've got friction, which creates even higher intent. Because if you don't, like, tire kickers are going to give up after question 7. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a ball ache.
Yeah.
There's stuff about your health, your income, your savings, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They then have to verify their number via text so that you know that it's a real phone number. That goes into your CRM, and the page refreshes to your individual booking page. So it's going to have your face, your name, Comrade Zielinski, and your booking page in there. So these are not only high intent leads. The second problem of the insurance industry is shared leads, recycled leads, meaning you purchase a list of leads and you are the 17th insurance agent that's bought that list of leads.
That is calling them today.
Exactly. Even if they even put their information in a week, a month, or a year ago. So with this, you've now got high intent as opposed to low intent or bait and switch. You've got exclusivity because that lead is now yours and yours only. Nobody else is touching that.
Mm-hmm.
And you've now also got live real-time leads. These are not aged leads that put their information in a day, a week, a month, or a year ago. These are right on the phone, on the internet, looking for the thing that you need right now. So he's solved for the main 3 problems that cause 98%of insurance agents to quit. in their first year.
That's a pretty big rate, churn
It's
rate
massive.
of
It's
agents.
higher than high ticket. High ticket is 87.3 are quitting within 3 years. So it is a lot higher than high ticket. And those are the main reasons. Number one, the leads. What happens is people will get their license and then who the fuck do I sell this to? I've got no marketing funnel. I've got no ads. I've got no social media presence. I've got only the people that I know are in my phone. That's mom, dad, auntie, uncle, neighbor, barber, whoever
Yep.
will fucking listen to me, right? So you start alienating your friends and family. Then, if you want to go and get leads, you have to go and purchase them. And typically, if you've got no money because you're just starting out, then you'll be buying the cheapest like kind of leads that you can find, which will come from interruption marketing, namely like meta ads, Facebook and Instagram. If you think about the psychology behind that, if you're scrolling through your phone, checking out, who's got married and funny cat videos,
Yeah, and you're being interrupted by ads. Yeah, so
right?
you're not there to purchase anything at the end of
No,
the day.
certainly not such a complex or important financial instrument such as an IUL insurance policy.
Yeah.
Not many people even know what the hell an IUL is in the first place.
So can you explain that a little bit? Like for those
Yeah.
who don't know, like what is the difference between IUL and the like regular life insurance policy?
Yeah. So there's a few key differences. An IUL insurance policy essentially has all the benefits and upside of a life insurance policy, namely, death benefits as in terms of passing on money once you pass away. But you also have living benefits as well. So if you get, critically injured or, terminally ill, you also get living benefits. The main difference is that in an IUL insurance policy, the money that you put into it has a compounding cash value component, which grows over time. The way that it grows is that it's linked to market performance. So you link it to an S&P 500 index.
Mm-hmm.
It gets a little bit better. In an IUL policy, the growth is linked to the market growth, but it has caps either side. So kind of like when you go bowling and you put the little barriers on the lane, it has a couple of different barriers. Number one, it has a growth cap. So if the market soars, 40%, your money will grow by 12%. It'll be capped at 12. Now, if the market plummets 20%, you lose not a penny. It never goes below zero. The math of losing money in investments is always worse than only gaining a little.
Yeah.
If I have $100 and I lose 50%, I'm down to 50.
You need to gain 100 back.
Exactly. So I have to gain double to lose what I lost, to earn back what I lost.
Yeah.
The math, it always beats any loss in the market. 2008 was a prime example, 38% gone down, IUL, not a jot. 2009 jumped up 26%, but it was still way behind. It took the market 4 years to get back to above the level it was in 2007. And all the while the IUL was just chugging away, just increasing over time. Now, it gets a little bit better again. So that money that's growing inside of the IUL policy is tax-free. You are not taxed on the growth in there. You're not taxed on withdrawals. Why? Because you're allowed to loan against the value of the policy tax-free as well. It makes it a great life insurance policy with living benefits, with tax perks, and also a phenomenal retirement tool. Because now I can withdraw against that money 20 years down the line once I want to retire, tax-free, and live off of that. So it has quite a few really cool components to it.
What are the downsides though?
So the downsides are that the premium is higher than a typical life insurance policy. 100%.
Okay.
You'll see on the low end, maybe like an average low end for somebody who's a bit younger, maybe starting the policy out at 25 years of age, they might be putting $200 a month into something like this. It's not uncommon to see premiums of $1,000, $1,500 as well. So they are higher. Term life might be $70 a month, right? So it's a downside, They are a little bit more complex to understand as well. The downside does turn back into an upside, though, if you think about the avatar. Who is thinking about tax benefits? Who is thinking about passing on their estate? Who is willing and able to pay a higher premium for that? It's going to be somebody who's wealthier, who's more affluent, who's more educated. Somebody who's looking for a cheaper, simpler solution, maybe someone who just doesn't have the money or the need, want, and desire to invest into something a little bit more complex. So the downside is that it's more expensive. Dave Ramsey is also very, very vocal about IUL never being appropriate. It's a scam and people shouldn't do it. As with anything in life, you'll have somebody who'll tell you this is the only thing you should do and nothing else matters. You should drop everything else and do this. And then you'll have people on the other end of the spectrum that say, this is a terrible idea. You should never do it. It's a scam. As with anything in life, the truth lies somewhere in the middle.
I mean, and it's always really important to do your own research, use your own brain, right? So just, you know, kind of balance like the pros and cons by yourself.
Correct.
But
The reason why Dave Ramsey says that is because there is a way as an insurance agent to set up a policy like that, which jacks up your commission and really lowers the benefit that it has to the person.
yeah,
And that's why IUL can get a bad name, not because of the product, but because of the application of the product. It's like CrossFit. People say CrossFit is bad for you. Doing CrossFit badly is bad for you.
yeah,
Right? It's not the thing. Rugby is dangerous. Depends on how you do it a little bit as well, right? It depends on who's doing it and why they're doing it. In fact, one of the guys that came on and joined us in the system, he joined because he had been sold a very bad IUL policy. He had been screwed over. And so he had,
So he was like, fuck, I'm gonna be selling this myself, but do it ethically.
exactly, right. There is a way that you can do it that jacks up your commission. The only problem with that is it's incredibly short-sighted because sooner or later they're going to find out and then they're going to cancel the policy. They're going to charge back. You're going to have to get commissions clawed back. You're certainly not getting any referrals from that person now. And it's just an incredibly short-sighted view.
No.
And so insurance lending itself nicely for a long-term view, anybody's looking for more consistency, stability, and long-term compounding effects, play the long game.
No.
And the reason that I say that is because of the way that the commissions are structured in insurance. They're very, very different to high ticket.
Yeah.
So if we know now that IULs are appealing and attractive to a slightly more affluent, like slightly more educated person, the
Sophisticated buyers.
sophisticated buyers, rich people, just call it what it is, right? Now, that means that the monthly premium pay is a little bit higher than an average life policy.
Yeah.
So the way that the commissions work in insurance is that they pay a certain percentage of the first year of target premium, so there's something called target premium and something called annual premium. Typically, target premium is lower. Sometimes, in some special cases, the annual premium is lower than the target premium. Very, very rarely, but it happens. They'll always pay out on the lowest number. So let's just talk about target premium for now. Let's say the person puts in $200 per month in target premium into the policy. That means over the course of the first year, easy math, $2,400 goes into the premium, into the policy. They'll pay, let's say you're on a 100% contract with a carrier, they'll pay you 100% of that first year. If you're on a 60% contract, they'll pay you 60%. If you're on a 25% contract, which I've heard of, in fact, David Fisher, that I told you that did the 184 in his highest month, he started in the insurance industry on a 25% contract. They'll pay you whatever percentage that is of the first year's target premium. Of that, 80% gets paid out upfront, cash in hand. The other 20% gets drip fed to you over the following 11 months. It gets even better. Every single year that the policy is renewed, you get anywhere between 2 and 5% of that first year's target premium dropped into your account, just for the policy staying active.
So you can stack up nicely commissions over the years as well.
There's a compounding effect to this.
Well,
because that's one policy, right? That's starting to you got some recurring commission. Then you sell 5 policies that month. Okay, now I've got 5 times recurring. The next month I've got 10, if I sell another 5 policies, I've got 10 policies that are now on a recurring basis, 15, 20, 25, 30. It
yeah.
compounds over time. Same effort, same energy expenditure, same dialing of leads, following up, booking in calls, submitting applications, following up, same effort, higher rewards.
Mm. So
And
on your
that
webinar, you said that overall this insurance market is about 96 times bigger than the whole high ticket coaching space.
93.6 times bigger. Yeah.
93.6. So yeah. So like, what does it mean in terms of the opportunity?
It's 93.6 times bigger.
Yeah.
So what it means for me when I look at that, when I got into this, I started doing an awful lot of research. I went down a massive rabbit hole. I literally did hundreds of hours of research on this because for a couple of reasons. Number one, if I like stewardship and I like looking after people and helping them win, then I want to put them in a position where they're winning and not, gonna fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
Secondly, I have, you know, been in the space for a little while. I post content, kind of made some connections so people kind of know me. If I want to put my name against something, I need to make sure it's legit. And thirdly, I saw what happened with AI, and I'm already seeing the difference between the early adopters and the people just telling themselves that they don't know how to use it. I know now what will happen in 3 to 5 years in terms of the AI landscape, because in 2024, 43% of all private equity investments were made into the AI industry. That tells me in 3 to 5 years, you will either be on the producing side of AI or on the consuming side of AI. Who makes the money, the producers or the consumers?
Producers, always.
Every single time. So it started making me more aware of market trends and market sizes. And so I thought, okay, well, let's have a look at the insurance market. This one was nice. Global insurance market, $5.05 trillion market. The US life insurance market, $1.03 trillion.
1/5.
It's 20% of the global insurance market.
Yeah.
The US population is 4.16% of the world population. That blew my mind. Like, the insurance industry in the US and the credit industry in the US, nuts. Like, they just fascinate me. So then the high ticket coaching space, as best as it's been measured so far, is an $11 billion market. So it is 93.6 times a larger industry, which for me, if I'm looking at it optimistically, should mean that there's 93.6 times more opportunity. Somebody else could look at there's 93.6 times more competition. I'm going to be a small fish in a big pond, and it's just a perspective thing, right? There's no truth to the matter. There's just an opinion and a perspective. The only truth is the numbers. Do with that opportunity what you will. It's the fastest growing segment of insurance. It's growing at 23.4% annually right now. Specifically IUL. The second place was only growing at 12.6%. It's growing twice as fast, which again, for me, as a very opportunistic, optimistic kind of person, makes me wonder, well, could then my income grow at 23.4% annually in theory? In theory, right? If everything goes well and I do well and I keep up with that market growth, shouldn't that mean that I should, in theory, be able to grow my income 23.4% annually? If something's in theory, right? In theory. I'm not saying that's going to happen. That's not a promise, right? There's no guaranteed income in that statement. But that's how I kind of think about it. I like to think in sort of opportunistic and optimistic terms, because what's the alternative? I can throw up our hands and say, it's all hard, it's all shit anyway. So it really got me thinking and looking at the industry stats as well in terms of income and what the top firms are earning over there. The top 10th percentile in high ticket is at $220,000 annually currently, as best as it can be measured. And these are all verified stats and sources and links that come from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Sales Hub, Salesforce, HubSpot, LinkedIn annual statistic, sales reports, etc. They're earning $507,600 annually in IUL insurance, the top 10th percentile. They're
Mm.
earning double. Median was average was $67,400 in high ticket, 147,000 something in IUL, like ever so slightly more than double. So me living in Colombia, it started getting me thinking of the parallels. I earn US dollars, but I spend pesos. If I earn the exact same amount as somebody living in the middle of Miami, I am wealthier,
Oh yeah, of course.
right? If we measure income, wealth by the difference between income and outgoings, I am immediately wealthier just by plumping myself in a
And
different.
by cost of living as well.
Exactly, right. And so I started thinking about it in the same terms. I thought, okay, I wonder if a high ticket closer could take the assets that it has, which is basically its sales skill, sales acumen, sales experience, and applied them in a different field. What would happen? And I asked my guy. He said, "Dude, they crush these people. Just they're super undertrained."
Also, closers from the high ticket space, a lot of times they're good closers, of course, because there's a bunch of bad apples out there, but like good closers, they
Yep.
also have amazing work ethic.
Yes, exactly. Which has become an ironic problem to solve in the early stages of what we're doing, and I'll get to what I mean by that in a second. But that was the way I looked at the opportunity. Now, I do want to really emphasize this because I feel that I have said this on the webinar. I have said this to every single person coming in. I have said this on each and every podcast that it doesn't mean that insurance is easy. I'm not sitting here and saying that it's easy, and I'm not sitting here and saying that everybody should do it. My heartfelt intention with this is to open up an avenue and an option that has previously been unexplored or written off or not delved into because it is hard. It is still not easy. It might be simple, but it's not easy. Just like anything worthwhile in life. Getting in shape is very, very simple. It's just not easy. Building $1 million business is very simple, just not
But it's
easy.
not easy, yeah.
High ticket sales is simple, just not easy. Insurance is simple. It's not easy. I am not sitting here and saying it is easy. All of the same problems that you have in high ticket sales will come with you into insurance. People will hang up on you. People will ghost you. People will not be able to figure out Zoom. People will get approved for an application and then not move forward. People will pick up the phone and tell you to fuck off. It will happen. I guarantee it. I'm not saying that element is easier. The way that I'm thinking about this, and I know that all the guys that have moved over are thinking about this, is if the downside is comparable, right? If those two elements are on both sides of the equation here,
And the
what is
reward is
the
bigger
upside?
on the other side.
Right. Is the upside, do I feel personally, individually, and this is everybody's own personal decision, do I feel that the upside of recurring commission, an incredibly stable industry, in a system that's been proven for nearly 3 years now, in an industry that's been around for 200 years, that is a basic human need with a product that is really good, that is regulated by law. Your commissions are paid out on the spot from heavily regulated companies, not by our 24-year-old internet marketer that tells us that our comms are going to get paid out on the 10th, and then on the 21st, we're wondering what the fuck our money is, right? Or that they never get paid, and then we find out that they've flown to the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, right? If I know that there are still going to be sales downsides, where do I see the upside? And that is a personal, individual decision that I will never push on anybody. My heartfelt intention is to give an option.
But what do you feel is the biggest misconception about insurance that maybe keeps salespeople from high ticket space away from it?
So I actually I interviewed 19 high ticket closers when I was getting into this. I did some market research, and without revealing what the industry was that I was looking into, I've obviously revealed it on the interview, but I've revealed it kind of by asking, when I say insurance, what do you think? And the answers vary vastly. One guy said, "Ugh, I need to take a shower." That's literally what he said to me. I was like, "Tell me everything. You are perfect." I wanted to know, what are the preconceived notions? What are the preconceived ideas? Some people said lucrative. Some people said boring. It varied wildly. Of those that were more on the, oh no, insurance, I'd never do that. Why? What's the main reason? They felt their preconceived notion was slimy insurance agents, spammy, cold calling, having to hit up your friends and family, having to purchase shitty leads. They kind of knew or had at least heard about these things, and therefore said, that's not an option for me. Some people said lucrative. Oh man, I know some people that are crushing it in insurance. They make a bunch of money. But I've never really kind of figured out how to get into it myself. Some people said it sounds like boring as hell. Some people said, but you got to get licensed and all that kind of thing. That was a barrier to entry for them. And so we've solved for, I feel at least, quite a few of those issues. Of course, we help people get licensed. On average, they've taken 11 days to get licensed so far. It's a very, very simple process, really. It's just like getting a driver's license. Scammy, well, we just don't do the slimy thing. We teach people. We have a very in-depth training on, how to sell it, and then in-depth product training, how to set up a policy so that it's people over profits. Kind of, sounds cliche but it's true, right? If you just do it that way, you're going to get more business, more referrals, and you're going to earn for a longer amount of time. So, we teach and train on all of that. We have the leads solved for as well. You don't have to hit up your friends and family. You can if you want to. I'm not stopping you, but we've got high intent, exclusive, in real time leads that are looking for the thing that you're selling. We're not trying to get them on a call and give them a free thing and then try and sell them into something else. I feel we solved quite a few of those. Again,
I got a hard question for you, brother.
Go for it.
So, would you say that the agency that you are working with is in that terms unique, like in terms of the leads, training, CRMs, and all of that?
In terms of the leads, yes. So
Okay.
I also, with my research, did a lot of shopping around in terms of different IMOs, captive agencies and stuff. And for
Would you?
whatever reason, they're not doing it that way. They're not doing Google leads, and they're certainly not provided. Even if they were to be doing them that way, you'd have to purchase them. Most of them are looking to minimize their costs on the leads that they're selling you or providing you. So they are Facebook, Instagram leads,
TikTok leads.
TikTok leads. I haven't come across any TikTok leads yet, but I'm sure they're out there. So
Yeah.
in terms of the leads and the way he generates them, yes, I haven't seen anything similar. That's not to say it's not out there. I just haven't seen it yet. In
Okay.
terms of the CRM, very unique as well. It is go high level. That's not unique, but the way he set it up
But
with
you can
every
set up the go high level in a way that is unique as well.
yeah, very unique. So he's got all of the pipeline stages, all of the automations, all of the emails, the messages, the nurture, the this, the confirmations, everything all set up for you. But he's kitted out with a conversational AI. Now he went and built his own because he's a bit of a nerd like that, and he has conversational AI integrated, so that books anywhere between 10 and 30% more appointments that don't pick up the phone or you don't get a hold of because it just keeps working the lead. So that's, I'd say, pretty unique. And then in terms of training, sales training is sales training, but we do specialize only in IULs. We're not trying to teach people term life, whole life, health, this, that, and the other. It's IUL and maybe a bit of annuity if there's an opportunity. That's
I
it.
mean, riches
Very
are in niches, right?
Yes, exactly. Riches and the niches. Exactly. So in terms of him being completely niche down and specialized in that, not that it's not out there. I just, from my research so far, I haven't seen it yet.
Now, the reason I ask you is because, like, if you are basically setting up for success, like all of the guys that are coming into your agency, what would happen to those guys if the agency all of a sudden would close?
Say that again. What would happen if the agency?
All of a sudden would close. Like, we've seen it time and
Oh,
time again with the high ticket offers.
yes. Yeah. Well, I guess he hasn't in the last 3 years, and he's certainly not planning to in the next 3 to 10 years. But what would happen if it were closed? Then they would have to go and get leads from somewhere else. Yeah,
Okay.
really. Yep. So yeah, there's that risk, I guess.
Those recycled lists.
Yes,
Run it
they
in
have to
for
go
me.
for the shared, old, recycled, bait and switch leads. So yeah, that would happen. But I think the difference that I'm seeing in terms of sort of the product and the industry is insurance has been around for a couple hundred years. It's a fairly basic human psychological need. It's not a luxury biz op trading algorithm,
Yeah.
fancy sort of I don't really need it kind of thing. Um, and him having done this consistently for 3 years now, having consistently produced so many top earners, having been specialized and niche down and just singular focus on this, knowing the vision as well and some of the crazy shit that we've got planned for the guys on the inside. We've got a retreat we're planning from June, July this year in a ridiculous mansion that we just went to go and see on Saturday. We've got different tiers of earners and producers and different prizes and different levels that you can unlock. The top one right now I'll give away is going to be a Lamborghini Huracan if there's a certain level of production that you hit in a year, which is not going to be easy to hit by any means, but it's certainly there. And it's also not like the Pepsi fighter jet story. I don't know if you know that story.
I don't know.
You'll actually win a Lamborghini. Pepsi had this point system where on their TV ad they said, and if you get 1,000,000 points, you'll get a Harrier fighter jet. And one kid said, "Fuck it, I'll do it." And he figured out how to get 1,000,000 points. And Pepsi were like, "Dude, it was just a joke." And then it all went to court and they fought over it. So that's not happening here. You're actually getting a Lamborghini. But yeah, we've got some pretty cool stuff
That's
lined up.
pretty good incentives.
Yeah. The incentives we mapped out are pretty ridiculous. But of course, all that's in the long term. In the short term, it's just about helping people come in, get licensed, get trained, go live, and make money as quickly as possible.
And maybe
And from
set up
there,
for the actual career, long-term career.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, from the first group of guys, it's very early days, but they are, four have been live and submitting policies. The averages I was just looking up before this, the guys have on average submitted $12,523 dollars in premium. Some of them have been in there for a
In
couple of weeks.
February alone, or
Say
so
again?
far? In February alone, or so far?
So far. So that would be from the beginning of the year.
Mm.
So some of the stats are a little bit skewed. Adam Dang's only been live for about 10 days now, whereas James Caulfield's been live for a couple months. So the stats are a little bit skewed. We've had some nice, some good policies been paid out, issue paid as well. I know Will he had a $7,500 commission from one of the policies, from a $12,000 policy. So, if you think about that in terms of high ticket, he'd have had to sell, a $75,000 thing to earn that same amount of commission.
Would
This was
take
just
some time for sure.
yeah, and this was just a $12,000 policy of somebody putting in just $1,000 a month. Which is the other funny little difference in high ticket is the prospect chooses their price point.
Yeah.
They get to decide. And they get to do it in monthly installments forever and a day. This is not just this is the price, and this is a 2-pay or a 3-pay. So there's some very unique advantages to it, I'd say. And there's certainly some downside. Like I said, if the downside is going to be there in everything that we do, I'm not saying that people should do this, but explore it as an option. I think the world,
Yeah.
the
So
world rewards.
on the top of the hour, Adam, but
Sure.
before you do, I have a last 2 questions for you. So
Go for it.
if someone is in the high ticket space, in the high ticket sales today, what signs should they look for to know that is a time to pivot to something else?
Right. So I would say I'm going to state my personal opinion. This is not factual,
Oh yeah, of course.
but just personal opinion. In my personal opinion, if you are sort of within your first 12 months of high ticket, I would say keep going. Just stick at it a little bit more. I think the growth and the personal development I've had over the past 4 years far outweighs what I would have got by switching 12 months into insurance. I in my personal belief, in terms of learning, growing, personal development, getting to know myself, reflected in sales calls, I do believe there's an awful lot of benefit to that. So I wouldn't encourage people to kind of think about switching lanes too soon. Where we've seen, so the average tenure in high ticket of the group that have come across has been 3.5 years exactly. the average tenure of the closers that I interviewed was 3.6 years. That may have something to do with my audience. But what I've seen the commonalities are over the course of sort of 3.5 to 4 years, you've now been around the block long enough to understand the high ticket space. You've been around the block enough that you've had, 3 to 4 offer changes per year, which have really disrupted your income and earning. You are now seeing hugely diminishing returns from investing in more sales training, which is a common theme we've seen as well. The guys have, on average, spent $14,600 in sales training, and there was no statistical correlation between how much they'd spent on sales training and how much they'd earned in high
Much more
ticket.
they're making.
Yeah, and how much they earned exactly. Yeah, so we've seen that sort of statistical correlation with a small group of people. I'm not saying this isn't a study of thousands of people, but from what we've seen so far. So I would say those would be the things. If you have been in high ticket long enough that you feel that you feel, at least individually, personally, you've been around the block, you are starting to see enough offer changes that it's starting to disrupt your income, and you're seeing hugely diminishing returns in extra sales training, I would consider thinking about what is maybe my next move. And actually, the last thing I would say is, if you have just zero passive income, if you stop selling in high ticket and you stop earning,
which is the case for majority of people in a
yep, it's 89. It was 89.2% of the people that I interviewed, and over 90% of the people that joined have zero passive income. If they stop working, they stop earning. And that's something that you can solve if you stay in the game long enough in insurance, for sure.
And if someone would like to learn a little bit more about what you do, like, where can people connect with you and learn about it?
Yeah, so I'd say I've popped open a free Facebook group where I'll be sort of documenting the journey, giving updates, the stats, the figures. I'll also be running a new webinar this week, and so day and time not yet 100% confirmed, but I will be announcing that on my personal Facebook page and within inside the group. So if there's a way for us to drop a link to the group and to my personal Facebook page, I think that would be the best places to find me and to keep up to date and just follow along the journey.
So the podcast will be going live on Friday at 9 a.m. So hopefully that's going to be
this Friday, 9 a.m. So we should have already
Friday,
done
9 a.m. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I might have to run another webinar for you guys if you message me enough and pester me enough in the group. I might do another one for you.
Yeah. I'm just gonna add maybe the link to your group, like in the short reels that I'm gonna be posting to promote our podcast.
Yeah, I'll send that over. Not a problem.
Awesome, man. So I appreciate you for taking the time. Is there anything else that you want to share before we finish for today?
No, just thank you for taking the time out. Thank you for sharing your audience with me. I know it's something you've built up over a tremendous amount of time, and so I hope I've given at least some return on their attention today, and I've maybe potentially, hopefully, given you some food for thought and some options. I'm not here to say that this is what people should be doing. This is the future. I'm not saying high ticket is dead by any means. I just know that if I were 3.5 to 4 years down the line, not quite where I wanted to be at this point in my sales career, I would like an option.
Yeah.
And if it's an option you feel, yes, exactly. The world rewards conventional thinkers, so be a conventional thinker.
I like that quote. Yeah. You gotta write it down somewhere.
That's a write it downer.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you again, and see you around.
Will do. All right. Thanks, Conrad. Appreciate you, man.